You look beautiful. I got someone my height finally.
Oh yeah, I know, and I'm even wearing shoes, so.
This show was such a wild ride, and I gotta say, I loved following your character's journey and his relationship. Is he gonna get a fish?
You really watched. I love
really
that.
watched.
Yeah.
Kristen Maldonado here for Pop Culture Planet, and we're at Netflix's premiere of The Diplomat. Let's go check out the red carpet. Congratulations. This show is wild. Such a ride. So can you tell me what inspired it and, how you kind of prepared to dive into this world?
So I met an ambassador when I was working on Homeland. She came in and talked to us about, we were researching a story, and her talking about what she did on an average day in her 30-year-long career just blew my hair off. She seemed like like somebody's really very pleasant, well put together mom, and it turns out she's in war zones and bombs are dropping, and she's trying to get two warlords to negotiate with each other, and all while sort of holding a teacup and still looking like a librarian. The kind of work that people in the Foreign Service do and the State Department, it's invisible. If they're doing it right, you never hear about it. It's stopping problems before they start and before they erupt into something that we hear about, or unwinding them right at the end, and then world leaders come in and sign treaties, but that is the result of work that's been going on by people like Kate Weiler, making that possible over a long period of time. And they're great stories. They're really great stories.
What drew you to The Diplomat? And also, how did you prepare for this? I mean, there's a lot of legal jargon in there, a lot of political jargon.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a little tough.
Yeah, it was really tough, but the script is what got me. I got sent the script by the casting director, and I knew Deborah Kahn from before, and she was like, "Would you want to read a script by Deborah Kahn?" And I was like, "Yes." And so I read it on my cell phone, because I hate reading scripts on my cell phone because I hate the technology. But this was so good that I'm standing in my kitchen just reading it on my cell phone going, this is the most amazing thing I've read in a long time. If I could ever be a part of something like this, it would be amazing. But then, as I'm reading, I'm like, these people say a lot of stuff. I don't know where half of these things that they're talking about. I didn't know these countries even existed, kind of thing. So I had to really bone up. One thing I did was I watched The Human Factor. It's a documentary about the Israeli accord with the Palestinians back in the Clinton administration. And I remember that in high school, but I didn't know what went into it. And all the diplomats and all the foreign service people that made it possible for those two nations to stand on the White House Rose Garden and shake hands. It was amazing. When you watch that, and I ask you to watch it, it's emotional. I cried through the whole thing. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh, that's what these people in the Foreign Service do. And it's they are every day trying to save the world. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
What drew me to the role, it was just so self-evident. When you read the script, it's just there. It's there on the page. There's sometimes where you're reading scripts and you're kind of like, oh, well, I guess if if I brought this take to it, then that could be something memorable. But for me, reading this script first time, it was all there. It was all there. It's just the writing.
Yes.
It's impeccable.
There are so many levels, but the level that really got me was the fact that on top of it being, very impressive and, having a serious vein and extremely well researched and very real and believable, it was very, very funny. And the wit and the humour of the characters was intrinsic to it. It wasn't like a joke at the end of a serious scene. The people were funny. Their way of talking to each other, their dynamic was based on a wit. Their way of dealing with situations was based on jokes and insults, and that felt not just like material but character. So when I read it, as soon as I got on to the way they spoke to each other, I just loved it. And I knew of Keri Russell. Obviously I'd seen her work. I knew she was great. Deborah Kahn's work I knew from before. And then I met Keri and I met Deborah, but met Keri and it was just very easy.
I think the thing that's so exciting about the show is people who are so smart and ambitious and great at their jobs, but then messy in their personal life. And that contrast is it's so juicy, So, and I think, Idra is she's the head of the CIA in London. It's pretty badass. Who doesn't want to do that?
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the things that I loved about this show was I feel like there was so many badass women in the political space, like in charge of things. And,
I know.
You know, you think about politics and you think about, you know, a white guy. And to see these women coming together and such a diverse group of women, I loved that.
I know, I love it too, and it's like authentically diverse. You know, it's not just like a check in the box, like, and everyone is so fierce. Like, so I feel really, really proud to be a part of this company.
Your character is just so empowering to follow. You know, she's just like truly herself, and rises to the occasion. And I was wondering what you like hope other women take away from that.
I love the character. I think, you know, she's very much herself. She wants to look like herself. She wants to feel like herself. She wants to feel tough and secure and in control. She doesn't want to put on a dress because someone asks her to. I don't know. I also think she's really funny. Maybe not. Maybe she doesn't think she's being funny, but I laugh at her. And I think she has a lot of integrity, and I think she wants to do a good job, always.
For me, what's been most fun is being able to create a world where you see a lot of strong women and you see their weaknesses and you see their mistakes and you see their joy. You don't just see their strength, and that there's a bunch of them, you know, like it actually, it's nice to have more than one, so it's not, well, this is what women do in this field. It's like, well, this is what this woman does, and the other one does something very, very different.
But that they are in this space, you know? Like, I feel like a political space sometimes it kind of seems like a man's world, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you're doing something that seems like a man's world, and here you are. Same with me, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I think that's so empowering. This role that you're taking on was actually meant for a guy, written for a guy. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and it was on the page. It was written for a guy. I don't know what happened at the upper levels, but eventually I got the script, and halfway through reading it, I was like, I have to do this. And the best part about it was that instead of just kind of like transposing me on top of this role that was originally written for a white guy, Deb was like, I want to, like honor your Ghanaian heritage. Like, what's a last name that I can give this character that would and so like my character has a Ghanaian last name, and I loved that, and there were some couple tweaks throughout the season that that she made to honor the fact that I'm a lady, and so I appreciated that too, and so that was really sensitive on her part because she really didn't have to do that, so I was really grateful and appreciative, and that was actually really a testament to the kind of that was a testament to the kind of set that she ran as well. Like we had so much fun shooting the show, and it was great.
For you, how did that kind of feel being on a set like that?
It was amazing. My bosses were women. I had just had a baby, and so thank you. I had just had a baby when we were shooting, and they were like, if you need to bring your baby to breastfeed, come on through. Like, no problems here. Like, it was a very amazing set in that way, just to have like bosses. So it's rare in television that you have like your bosses are women. And so I loved working with them, and then I love working with Keri. Keri is obviously a pro, and the climate that she created on set was so warm and generous and funny, and we had jokes and inside jokes, and and like that was so great. It was such a delight. I'm so grateful for the experience.
This is your first time executive producing, so what made this the right project for that?
I think it's just the nature of your age at a certain point, and they allow you to do it because you've been in the business so long. And the script was just so special. I think it hits a lot of things that I love, like political intrigue, but then Deborah Kahn's brand of humor about the minutiae of life is just so funny to me.
You're working opposite Keri Russell. You guys have a lot of scenes together.
Yep.
You're her right-hand guy.
Yep.
What was that like working together?
She's funny. I mean, I've loved her since Felicity, and everything that I've seen her do, she's done a lot of like serious stuff. I didn't know how funny she was. Like, just as a person, she's funny and goofy. And so when you're working on stuff like this that's really intense, you need to have gallows humor. You need to have a person and acting buddies, and that's the whole cast. We're all a bunch of clowns who then can turn on the serious diplomat stuff. But then when you call cut, everybody's a clown. It makes it so much easier, and I think that's because of Keri.
I also love, like I said, the relationship that your character has. So can you tell us a little bit about that.
Alian is one of the greatest actors I've ever worked with. I really say that sincerely. We also have a great chemistry because I think Deborah Kahn, the showrunner, she makes sure that she hires non-jerks. And so everybody in the cast is really cool. So as soon as Ali and I met, we knew, okay, click. I knew I could show up and then whatever this woman is going to throw at me, I could throw something back at her, and it's like nice play between us. And she's fantastic. So if you haven't talked to her yet, I can't wait for you to, because she's a great person. Yeah.
Well, I'm having so much fun talking to you.
Oh, right, yeah, oh, good.
As soon as we met, I was like, oh, I'm going to be fine. Because not only is he a great actor, but he's also so generous and kind and easy. Like, there's no ego. Like, we just play off of each other. He's like, oh, you did that? I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, great. Then I'm going to do it's a dream. Like, it really is. It's probably the easiest job I've ever had in terms of, like, actors who are so good at what they do, but also such team players. Pretty magical, yeah.
And now, did you have any favorite or even more challenging moments on set?
Yeah, there's some long speeches I have to give.
You guys had a lot of political jargon.
There's a lot of jargon. Good thing I'm like a, Pod Save America junkie, because otherwise I would really be in over my head. But yeah, there's a lot of dense, tricky language, and Billy is a character who is very, very, very confident and self-assured and smart, and so you can't fake it. You got to know the stuff. And so that was really tricky, but very rewarding.
Challenging. Well, it's not as hard for me because I don't have to carry the story. Like, Keri had a lot of political jargon and so much dialogue that she had to memorize. It was easier for me because I didn't have so much to do. But I really love the fights. I love all the dumb fights. For me, that was great. And also, working with someone so good, working with people so good, it keeps you on your mettle, it keeps you on your toes. So, and I think with people like this, it needs the thinking of what you're saying and being in command of the facts and the names and the locations needs to be absolutely effortless. Because often when actors learn to do things for a role, you can see the work. And that is the worst thing, because people who should be doing something well, they don't even have to think about it. So we'd have to work on the lines and the dialogue so much that it's just like that.
Effortless.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I was really nervous about the scene where I had to load the gun, and I practiced a lot, because it turns out I didn't know guns are not made for women with small hands. So
that was a big gun.
It's a big gun, and it actually takes a lot of muscle to like pop it on and take it off. Like it wasn't easy. I like clipped my hands. Like that scene probably gave me the most stress.
Some of the dialogue, there are scenes like I've watched the whole thing, and I'll say I look smooth in it, but I'm not that smooth. So almost every line to me was challenging. My job, Stuart Hayford's job in the Diplomat, is Deputy Chief of Mission. See, I messed it up already. Deputy Chief of Mission. It took me a long time to just be able to say that and sound like I know what I'm saying, and I still don't. You just saw me mess it up. So all of it was challenging, but it was fun because it's such a great group of people that it's like you see everybody messing up, and it's like, okay, we're all in this together.
All the long scenes with Kate and Hal are just a joy. Keri and Rufus are amazing together. They enjoy working together, and you see it, you feel it, and there's a scene that sort of comes out of a fight in a moment and then like loops in 20 years of history in their relationship and just goes to some really fun places and like sort of terrible, horrible, and delightful all at the same time.
Maybe some bushes.
Maybe there's some shrubbery that gets involved. It's possible.
Is there any moments, maybe even like behind the scenes of like working with this cast that you can share?
Oh, behind the scenes. I mean, I can tell you that everybody is kind of a clown, like really a clown. Like I was really intimidated to meet Rufus just because a lot of the characters he plays are kind of, they're kind of bad boys, but he is a clown. He has always got a bit. His every entrance and exit, he's going to do something that you have to keep a straight face for. So it's fun because the show is a lot of smart people, but everyone is really laid back.
You mentioned Deborah a couple times, obviously an icon, West Wing,
yes.
Homeland, working on those shows.
Yes.
Were you a fan, and what was it like working under her?
Yeah, I did a show called Vinyl on HBO years ago that she wrote on, so I met her before, and I saw her writing. I did a scene that she had written, and I was like, who wrote this? And it was Deborah Kahn, and I met her on set, and I thought she was amazing. So I was a fan before she went on to all of that stuff. I'm like OG Deborah Kahn stan. So working with her, she's intimidatingly a genius. She's low key, but like when you ask her a question, you can see how intelligent and how incredible she is, not just with the material, but with everything. Getting an email from Deborah Kahn is like getting a Pulitzer Prize winning novel that you read over and over again because it's brilliant and it's insightful and it's funny. So it's intimidating working for her.
What I love about you is that you really take on projects that you love, and you haven't done as many TV shows, so that really means something. So I'm curious, especially to be in this show now and kind of even look back at your breakout role in Felicity. What does that mean to you looking back?
I don't want to work enough. I have a really busy life at home. I have 3 little kids. We're still in school, so it takes a lot to get me out of my house. I just have to love the writing. I have to really. I'm also not a good enough actor. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go play a German drug addict or something. I have to really love the material, and that would be exactly for Felicity, The Americans, and The Diplomat is exactly the same. It takes a lot for me to really connect with something, and when I do, I'm all in.
The end of this of the season, very explosive.
Yes.
I'm concerned for you.
I'm concerned for me too.
I'm concerned for several people.
Yes.
What do you think's gonna happen next?
I don't know. And you know what I've learned? I've done a bunch of television shows. I've been lucky with a lot of great work. And, people ask me, well, if you get another season, what do you want to happen? And I have all these ideas. Working on this show with Deborah Kahn, I know whatever I would come up with, I hope my character survives and I hope he gets to do this. I know whatever she comes up with is going to be better than mine, so I'm just going to let her do it and be surprised if we, go on for another season kind of thing.
This year already, you've had 2 incredible shows out, Kaleidoscope, The Diplomat. What has that been like? I mean, we're only 4 months into the year.
Well, it took longer to do them, at the time Kaleidoscope came along, it was not long after the lockdown. It was really good to get some work. Lovely to work in New York, which was nice. It's nice to be busy. I've been thinking for a long time I would like to see what the problem of too much work is like, because I've often gone many months between jobs and, watch TV and bitch about people. I wanted to be the one bitched about for a while, and now I know what that's like, so I want a break. This is how grateful I am.
Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!